Most people still believe that lithium is the only future of electric cars. But while the world was focused on lithium, China was quietly building something that could change the entire battery industry forever. Imagine an electric car battery with zero lithium, zero cobalt, and zero nickel, yet it charges faster, lasts longer, and keeps working in freezing temperatures that leave many EVs stranded. It sounds impossible, but it's already rolling off a production line. And the number that's making Western battery manufacturers genuinely nervous isn't even its driving range. It's a statistic almost nobody saw coming, and I'll reveal it in just a moment. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because we bring you the biggest technology breakthroughs before they become global headlines. This isn't just another battery announcement. It could be the beginning of the biggest shift in electric vehicles since the invention of the lithium-ion battery itself. The battery pack is the most expensive component in an EV. It determines the price, the lifespan, and the performance of the entire car. And now, China's battery giant CATL claims it can replace expensive lithium with one of the cheapest and most abundant materials on Earth, sodium, the same element found in ordinary salt. Most people have no idea this revolution has already begun. But to understand why automakers across America, Europe, and Japan are paying such close attention, you have to go back to a bold gamble CATL made when almost everyone believed sodium-ion batteries were a technological dead end. If you're thinking about buying an electric vehicle, there's one question you should ask before looking at horsepower or driving range. What powers the battery? For years, the answer has been obvious: lithium. Every major EV company has relied on lithium-ion technology, and the entire industry has been built around the assumption that there was no realistic alternative. But that assumption may no longer be true. A Chinese battery company claims it has developed a new generation of batteries that uses sodium instead of lithium. No cobalt, no nickel, no dependence on expensive materials that have dominated the industry for decades. And if even part of these claims proves true, the electric vehicle market could look completely different over the next 10 years. Before we dive in, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications if you enjoy deep dives into breakthrough technologies that could reshape the future before everyone else is talking about them. Now, let's get into it. Today's electric vehicles are impressive, but they're far from perfect. Manufacturers love showing sleek designs and instant acceleration, yet many everyday problems remain. Charging is one of the biggest frustrations. Even with modern fast chargers, drivers often spend 20 to 40 minutes waiting before getting back on the road. On busy travel days or during bad weather, that wait can become even longer as charging speeds slow down to protect battery health. Then there's winter performance. Cold temperatures have always been one of the biggest challenges for lithium-ion batteries. When temperatures plunge below freezing, available driving range can drop significantly while energy consumption rises because the cabin heater and battery management system work overtime. For drivers in northern climates, that can turn a comfortable road trip into a stressful search for the next charging station. The problems don't stop there. Lithium itself has become one of the most strategically important resources in the world. Just a few years ago, lithium prices skyrocketed, sending shockwaves through the automotive industry and contributing to higher EV prices. Although prices later declined, the volatility exposed how fragile the supply chain really is. Mining operations are concentrated in limited regions, while refining capacity is dominated by only a handful of countries. That creates geopolitical risks capable of influencing the cost and availability of electric vehicles worldwide. And then comes the issue many owners don't think about until years later: battery degradation. Every recharge slowly reduces the battery's ability to hold energy. Eventually, replacement becomes necessary, and the cost can reach thousands of dollars, making older EV ownership far more expensive than many buyers expect. So what if the solution isn't improving lithium batteries? What if the solution is replacing lithium altogether? That's the path Chinese battery giant CATL reportedly began exploring years ago. While much of the industry focused on squeezing incremental improvements from lithium-ion chemistry, engineers invested heavily in sodium-ion research, pursuing a technology many experts believed had little commercial future. The reasoning seemed simple. Sodium is one of the most abundant elements on Earth. It's inexpensive, widely available, and far easier to source than lithium. For decades, however, sodium batteries suffered from lower energy density, limiting their usefulness for passenger vehicles. Most researchers assumed the technology would remain limited to stationary energy storage, but recent developments suggest that assumption may have been premature. CATL's sodium battery platform, known as Naxtra, aims to overcome many traditional weaknesses while introducing several potential advantages. Because sodium is abundant, manufacturers may eventually reduce dependence on costly mining operations and volatile commodity markets. That alone could have enormous economic consequences. Lower material costs could eventually translate into more affordable electric vehicles, making EV ownership accessible to millions of additional consumers. Charging performance is another area attracting attention. The company claims its sodium chemistry supports extremely rapid charging, potentially reducing waiting times dramatically compared with many existing battery systems. If these figures hold up under widespread commercial use, long-distance travel could become considerably more convenient. Cold weather capability may prove even more important. Unlike conventional lithium batteries that often lose substantial performance in freezing temperatures, CATL says its sodium batteries retain a much larger percentage of usable capacity under extremely cold conditions. For countries with harsh winters, that could eliminate one of the biggest barriers to EV adoption. Imagine starting your vehicle on a freezing morning without watching half your expected range disappear before leaving the driveway. That possibility alone explains why the industry is paying attention. Driving range remains another key consideration. The company has announced figures that place sodium batteries much closer to traditional lithium technology than many analysts expected. Independent verification will ultimately determine real-world performance, but the reported numbers indicate the technology is advancing much faster than critics predicted. Yet, perhaps the most remarkable claim involves longevity. Conventional lithium-ion batteries typically experience noticeable degradation after several thousand charge cycles. CATL says its sodium platform can endure well over 10,000 charging cycles. If accurate, that could allow the battery to outlast the vehicle itself, fundamentally changing long-term ownership costs and resale values. Safety also plays a critical role. Battery fires remain one of the most publicized concerns surrounding electric vehicles. According to company testing, the new sodium chemistry demonstrates impressive resistance during extreme abuse tests, involving crushing, drilling, and physical damage. Reducing fire risk while extending lifespan would represent a major engineering achievement. But this story extends far beyond automotive technology. It has become part of a much larger competition over energy leadership. While Chinese companies accelerated sodium battery development, several Western initiatives struggled to maintain momentum. Battery manufacturing increasingly reflects industrial strategy as much as technological innovation. Whoever controls next-generation battery production could influence transportation, renewable energy storage, and even national economic competitiveness for decades. The implications reach beyond passenger cars. Sodium batteries are already being considered for grid-scale energy storage, commercial transportation, heavy trucks, industrial applications, and renewable energy projects. As solar and wind generation expand worldwide, affordable and durable storage solutions become increasingly valuable. A battery built from abundant materials could transform not only vehicles, but entire electrical networks. Market analysts expect sodium-ion technology to grow rapidly over the coming decade as production scales and manufacturing costs decline. Whether sodium-ion batteries will completely replace lithium or simply exist alongside it is still a question no one can answer with certainty. History teaches us that technological revolutions rarely happen in a single dramatic moment. They happen quietly, almost invisibly, until one day the old technology suddenly feels outdated. Think about computers. The first personal computers were slow, expensive, and limited. Few people imagined they would become essential in every home. The same happened with smartphones. Early models looked like expensive gadgets for business professionals, yet within a decade they transformed how billions of people communicate, work, shop, and live. The automotive industry could be approaching a similar turning point. For nearly 30 years, lithium-ion batteries have dominated electric mobility. They powered the first wave of EV adoption and proved that electric transportation could compete with gasoline-powered vehicles. Without lithium, today's electric vehicle revolution would never have happened. But every successful technology eventually reaches its limits. Manufacturers continue to squeeze small improvements from lithium chemistry, but those gains are becoming harder and more expensive to achieve. The industry still faces the same fundamental challenges: expensive raw materials, vulnerable supply chains, performance losses in extreme weather, and concerns over long-term battery replacement costs. That's why sodium-ion technology has captured so much attention. It doesn't simply offer another battery. It offers an entirely different philosophy. Instead of relying on rare minerals extracted from a handful of locations around the world, sodium is one of the most abundant elements on Earth. It exists in oceans, underground deposits, and countless natural resources that are widely distributed across the planet. If manufacturers can successfully commercialize this chemistry at scale, it could dramatically reduce dependence on critical minerals while making battery production cheaper and more accessible. Imagine a future where electric cars cost thousands of dollars less because their batteries no longer depend on expensive lithium markets. Imagine families in cold climates no longer worrying about losing half their driving range during winter mornings. Imagine battery packs designed to survive for decades instead of requiring replacement after years of heavy use. Those possibilities could fundamentally reshape consumer expectations. But the impact reaches far beyond personal transportation. Renewable energy has one major weakness: inconsistency. Solar panels only generate electricity during daylight hours, while wind turbines produce power only when conditions allow. Reliable and affordable battery storage has become one of the biggest challenges facing the global energy transition. If sodium-ion batteries prove to be durable, inexpensive, and safe for large-scale deployment, they could help stabilize electrical grids by storing excess renewable energy and releasing it when demand rises. That means the same technology powering tomorrow's electric cars could also help power entire cities. This is why governments, investors, and manufacturers are paying such close attention. The competition is no longer simply about selling more cars. It's about controlling the technology that could power transportation, renewable infrastructure, industrial manufacturing, and national energy security for decades to come. Whoever leads battery innovation may gain a significant advantage in the global economy of the future. China appears determined to secure that position. While much of the world remained focused on improving lithium technology, Chinese companies aggressively invested in alternative battery chemistries, manufacturing capacity, and supply chains. If sodium-ion technology succeeds commercially, those early investments could provide an enormous strategic advantage. Of course, challenges remain. Energy density still needs improvement for many premium applications. Manufacturing must scale efficiently. Independent testing will ultimately determine whether the impressive performance claims can be replicated under real-world conditions. Consumers, automakers, and governments will demand evidence before embracing any new battery chemistry on a global scale. Healthy skepticism is not only reasonable, it is necessary. History is filled with technologies that generated enormous excitement, but failed to meet expectations. Yet history is equally full of innovations that were underestimated before transforming entire industries. Few people predicted that electric vehicles themselves would become mainstream just 20 years ago. Today, they represent one of the fastest-growing segments in automotive history. Perhaps sodium-ion batteries are following a similar path. Maybe they won't replace lithium entirely. Maybe they will dominate entry-level vehicles while lithium remains the choice for high-performance models. Or perhaps future battery systems will combine multiple chemistries optimized for different purposes. No one knows for certain. But one thing is becoming increasingly clear. The race to define the future of energy storage has entered a completely new phase. And the winner of that race may shape not only the cars we drive, but also the electrical grids that power our homes, industries, and cities. Years from now, people may look back at today's lithium-powered electric vehicles the same way we now remember flip phones or bulky desktop computers, revolutionary for their time, but only the first step toward something even greater. The next generation of transportation might not be powered by a rare mineral extracted from distant mines. It might be powered by one of the simplest and most abundant elements on Earth, an ingredient that has existed around us for thousands of years, an ingredient sitting quietly in kitchens across the world. Sometimes, the technologies that change civilization aren't built from exotic materials. Sometimes, they're hiding in plain sight. If you found this documentary insightful, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with someone who still believes the future of electric vehicles begins and ends with lithium. Because the next major technological revolution may already be underway, and the world is only starting to notice. Now, it's your turn. Do you believe sodium-ion batteries will eventually replace lithium and become the new standard for electric vehicles? Or do you think lithium will continue to dominate the market for decades to come? Share your opinion in the comments below. I'd love to hear where you think the future of battery technology is headed.